I'm in Salad and I saw Flowers of the Killer Moon. It is directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Martin Scorsese and Eric Roth, and if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. As of this recording, this movie is very new, so I'm just gonna go into the general plot things. I don't want to spoil it too much if you're interested in watching it, but I will go over my opinion of the movie. This movie starts and it takes place in the 1900s. I think it's like 1919 is when it first starts. Okay, we're following this tribe, the Osage tribe, and they find a bunch of oil, and because of that, they get super duper wealthy. And because of this, it attracts this guy. Ernest is the main character that we're following, or at least he is the main character. He's like the person that the movie really focuses on during the entirety of the movie. But we have like a bunch of different characters that the movie also follows too. So we have Ernest as the main character, and his uncle is like, hey, you gotta marry this chick, okay? She is part of this Indian tribe that is super wealthy and has a bunch of oil money. You gotta, and I'm saying you gotta marry this chick. And of course, they get married. Well, this movie is 3.5 hours long. I'm very curious at the very beginning of the movie what's going to happen. So I will say that during this 3.5 hour movie, I totally watched the entire thing. I was like, okay, I see it all now. I'm looking at it. This movie has my attention. I'm not like bored of it by the beginning or middle part. So that's a good start. So of course, there's heirs involved, there's wills involved when it comes to the Osage. They're like, okay, we gotta give our children and grandchildren some money, some inheritance money, and this is what this movie is ultimately about. The uncle really wants that inheritance money, so Ernest marries in to this Osage. Oh man, I'm really bad at pronouncing it because they said it multiple times in the movie, and it's hard for me to remember. It's also hard for me to remember any names or anything, so oops. So he marries into this Osage family, and one by one there's slowly some murders just around what's happening. So these family members just suddenly die. And at this moment, okay, I'm not sure what the heck's happening, but it's not hard to see that it's the uncle doing these murders, and Ernest is part of this murder squad. And I do like the human element of this movie a lot. So he's like murdering her family members, right? It ultimately is revealed that it's Ernest and his brother doing all of the murders of the Osage. Can someone please let me know in the comments how it's pronounced? Anyway, the Osage tribe, a bunch of people are dying, and I do like seeing Molly in despair. It's fun. It's a great character study. I mean, I feel bad for her. There's a lot of moments during this movie where I'm like, yeah, I can feel some of the emotion. I like it. It's nicely well lit. The pacing's nice. Like I enjoy the pacing a lot. It feels like I'm on a train. The pacing, and it's a smooth sailing train. I don't feel any sudden starts or stops. It feels all appropriately paced. And I also like how like in the movie there's like some pops, like for example like oil bursting, and then like a couple of shots later, pew, pew, some gunshots. Also, the movie structure is like this. So it's like takes place in like the present, but the present like skips around because it's over a bunch of years. So it skips around, and it skips all like the slice of life stuff. It just like skips around to like what's important to the narrative, and like the narrative is like it's showing all these murders occur. It's showing like these characters talk about these murders that occur, and then it's like a flashback to the murders occurring, and then snaps back to like reality, and then there goes gravity, and then luckily no one chokes. Get it? Because I'm doing Eminem now. Also, I do like how Ernest is tasked to give Molly some damaging drug, some damaging organ drug. I don't know what the drug is specifically, but it has to go into her insulin. She has diabetes, and it seems like diabetes is actually a very dangerous disease. I don't have diabetes. I know some people who've had diabetes, but not really knowledgeable about diabetes personally. All I know is that you can get type 2 diabetes by eating a lot of sugar, and then also occasionally like salt and fats and other things, oils. I guess you can get diabetes from anything, I guess. Anyway, Molly seems to be the type of woman who is refusing to do any doctors. Like, she would rather have her husband administer this drug. She is a hard-headed woman. I do like how the movie establishes that she's hard-headed. And because of this, she doesn't want the doctors to administer her shots. I get it. I do like how this is already, like, it's established in her character. The movie doesn't explicitly show, like, them doing any herb cocktails, but the movie does explain a lot. It's it's a lot of people talking about how the Osage really like their herbs and spices, their 12 herbs and spices. And also I like Ernest. Ernest is like, hey, you gotta take this insulin and you gotta take it. 12 herbs and spices. You can't have that to fix your diabetes. You gotta have this man-made insulin. I do like how she initially refuses, but then is like, I'm gonna take the shot. And this allows Ernest to inject her with some poison. It looks like it's going really slow. So like, I like how the uncle's like, hey, you gotta make sure she takes all of this diabetes medicine and poison within the diabetes medicine. And then I like the humanity of this. At some point, Ernest starts to feel guilty. It seems like that. Like, he's frowning at the very beginning of the movie, but like towards the end, he's super frowning. Also, this is Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's like, this seems to be Leonardo DiCaprio's like hardest attempt to make him not like smiley. Cause like, I like seeing, like, you can see his like smile cheek things, you know, like when he's smiling, you got the imprints of the smile. Yeah, you can see that like on his face, but he's like frowning, and it's like, it seems so unnatural for him to frown, which is really funny to me. But yeah, he's frowning a lot by the end of it. He's frowning a ton. And then also, I like how he feels guilty. He actually doesn't give Molly all the poison. He drinks some of it himself. I think it's just to make her like slower and slower and slower. And then, how often are you supposed to administer this poison? Every time you take the insulin? That would take a long time for her to die, and that'd be a slow, suffering death. I wouldn't want that for anyone. Oh man, I do like how in like the third act it starts to unravel. Because of Ernest's, he's very erratic. He starts to feel guilty, and because of this, he's very erratic about his decisions, and Uncle's like, stop talking about this in public, and he gets the attention of a lot of people. And because of this, the FBI becomes involved. More and more people just start snitching on each other. Everything gets unraveled, and in the end, Ernest and his uncle are locked up. Okay, this is nice. I like this part. Okay, so the like 2/3 of it, like before the last 20 minutes of the movie, I'm like, I'm on board. I get it. I'm on board. And then something happens. The last 20 minutes, he's like talking, he's like looking at this, like, his Molly, because she has to go to the hospital. And then Molly's like, did you poison me? And then he's like, he doesn't answer, but she leaves because she knows the answer. Anything that isn't a no is a yes, essentially. And so I do like how she's like, okay, I'm gonna leave. Bye. And then Ernest, he's like, you know what, I will testify. I do like the uncle, his advice, don't listen to the FBI. But Ernest, you were not going to testify. and then you trusted the government to give you a deal where if you did testify, you wouldn't get any time, and you actually would see your wife and kids. Your wife and kids don't want to see you anymore. They hate you while your wife does. One of the daughters dies. You know, there's one with whooping cough, so she has to deal with a bunch of death. She has to deal with her sister's death, all caused by you and your uncle, Ernest. Okay, Ernest? So, of course she doesn't want to see you. I don't quite understand why he doesn't understand the reality of the situation. I guess he's just like a desperate man. So he's a desperate man, and then he's like, I will take that plea deal. And he does testify, and then the end of the movie. This is the weird part for me. It's like, it's a whole setup, like you're at a jazz club now. There's like instruments, and then there's Martin Scorsese himself just reading off what happened to these characters. It's like, Ernest lived to 1941 or some year. Forget the exact years for everyone. He lived to this year. Molly died in 1937. And the uncle lived to this year. And it's, okay. That's weird. I just find it weird that this movie ends so suddenly. Like, I remember like the credits roll, and I'm like, that's it? That's it? That's the movie? That's weird. That just kind of like halted. Also, I could definitely tell by like how much death was in this movie. There's like everyone just like dying around Molly. I'm just thinking, oh wow, Martin Scorsese is definitely thinking about his death. The fact that he wasn't able to finish his movie, it seemed like he wasn't able to finish this movie, he wasn't able to finish filming this movie, is what I interpreted from this ending. Because there's just a little bit sudden halt, and it didn't like open like that. It closes like that with like, yeah, like the jazz band like playing to accentuate like each point, like da 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 da, and then like more words, and then da 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 da, you know, fun stuff like that. I just thought it was weird. I thought the ending was weird. I mean, I really like the story of it all. I guess if I saw an ending and it like really dug into the emotions, like it really drove into that, like at the end, I think I'd like this movie more. I really like the lighting, the directing, the shots, the shot compositions, the shots chosen, like. I also like the blocking within the characters. It feels like there's a lot of shots like where they're in like the space together, and it feels nice. There's also a lot of like one-on-one shots, like showing each character in conversation, then also them in a group. It's fun. I also like the house that they're in, and I like the chosen locations. I also felt like the last like 20 minutes of the movie, it felt like there were some points where I was like, you know, I don't think I necessarily needed to see this much footage of what was happening. This could have been like cut down like maybe 20 minutes or something. I'm no film expert. I just, and from an audience perspective, I'm like, this could have been cut in 20 minutes, and I would have gotten like the same thing out of it, I think. You know, but I like this movie. It's a simple story about how some greedy white dudes infiltrate an Osage Indian tribe, is what they're called, the Native American dudes. They're just having a little chill time. I like how they say Missouri. I like it. Why don't we call Missouri more? What happened to Missouri? Okay, I like saying Missouri because then I like saying it's misery state, get it? Missouri, might as well be. Anyway, I've only been to Missouri a couple of times, but I don't like the landscape there as much as I do other states, which is why I call it Missouri. But Missouri, we need Missouri. Where is Missouri? Who do you call Missouri? Please let me know in the comments. I love Missouri. I just like things that ends with A, and I really like the word, the way the word sounds like. I just like it. I don't know what else to explain. Anyway, I like the acting. The acting was pretty great. It really moved the story along. It made me like invested was the acting. How much emotion was going into each role. Like I really felt it. I felt the dedication from the actors, the actresses, just the dedication from everyone in this movie's involvement. Just the ending part kind of caught me off guard. It ended suddenly and I was like, oh wow, okay, I guess that's the end of the movie. So I gotta give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. YouTube really likes that. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 years of patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, go to this link tree, find the way you can help support the daily grind of all them daily movie reviews. So you can go here. And until next time, inside the sauce, see you later, my sour croutons, bacon bits.